can. Here comes Sealand down the left side. Sealand, he's looking to throw this paper towel into the trash can, but he does have Sealand in front of the trash can for an easy tap in. Now he's going to take this on from the angle, and he's missed it. The tight angled shot at the trash can for Sealand, and Sealand is furious. He had a chance for an easy tap in front of the goal. Oh my goodness, at least this doesn't happen in Football Manager anymore. I think I need a new chair, or my downstairs neighbors are definitely going to think I am playing a lot of Football Manager. Shut up. Hey, it's Zealand from after filming the video. I realized that I tweeted something out. I was looking for your best Wonder Kids from Football Manager 20. I'm going to link the tweet down in the description. I got a lot of responses, but if you don't already follow the Twitter, you can go down there, check it out, and reply to that tweet with your favorite Wonder Kid from Football Manager 20. I'm going to have a guest on, and we are going to review those Wonder Kids. I've done the video one time before, and it was great. I did that live on stream. I put up the tweet. If you want to hear me do stuff like that, I stream on Twitch. Links down in the description too, like 20 other of them, and they're all gonna make your life at least mildly better, so check them out. Back to the video. What's up? My name is Zealand, and we are making what I believe will be the final Football Manager video about Football Manager 21 before it comes out. And today we're going to be talking about the match engine improvements, and I've got a lot of information that I'm able to bring to you. Now, not only was there a match engine blog that was released detailing the changes, but in recent weeks I have befriended Nick Madden, who is the guy that works on the match engine, been able to just learn about how the match engine works in general, where these changes are going, what specifically these changes are going to be inside and outside of what is mentioned in the blog, and how this is going to make this match engine inarguably the biggest single improvement in Football Manager is going to be inside the match engine this time. Hallelujah. And your wingers might start squaring the ball. But first, they did us the courtesy of deciding their own sections. So we're going to go through those sections. We are going to save one of them for the end because there is one section that the team at SI spent the most time, I don't know what that was, the team at SI spent the most time working on. It was the #1 goal of the entire thing, and I think it is genius, and it's probably going to completely change the way the game operates under the veil. So the first section that they have adjusted is decision making. Okay, decision making. This is about slices, not of bread. Slices in between animations in the game. Players in Football Manager 21 will be able to make decisions mid-animation. So for those that are unaware, the match engine is attempting to project what the numbers say should happen. So when your left winger goes down that wing and runs into a fullback, the attributes collide. An equation happens, and a probability of that player getting by the fullback is released. Then the coin is flipped however many times to set that probability, and then it's decided whether the winger is going to get by that defender or not. And once it is decided that the winger is going to try to get by that defender and they're going to try and do it this way, it starts an animation because the match engine itself is trying to show you what the numbers are saying should happen. This is why I always say when something looks really weird in the match engine, it was just the match engine trying to display that something should happen. It probably messed up. And the way it does this is once one of those decisions is made, an animation starts. And so the entire match engine is a collection of these animations. But the problem up until this year is that during each one of these animations, if the situation changed because of the animation the defensive unit had entered into individually and thus collectively, if that changed what they should be doing, they had no ability to change in the middle of that movement. So if they were already going to knock the ball past the opponent and all of a sudden somebody's running in to try and cover the backside, their animation is not going to change. That is what they're going to do. Now in Football Manager 21, in the middle of knocking the ball past the opponent, they can see and reevaluate the situation and slice again. You can slice the slice. And you can get very thin pieces of bread. Does that make sense? Match engine stuff is not super easy to explain, but I do want you to understand how influential this decision-making piece is going to be. The blog itself says they'll be reevaluating their situation every quarter of a second, which considering the length of the animations in previous FMs, this is going to increase the fluidity in the decision-making process a lot more. In terms of how this is going to apply to the game, attacking midfielders in particular midfielder who are given the least amount of time to decide what to do with the ball in almost every situation are probably going to be much better because they'll be able to evaluate their situation much more frequently than they've been able to in the past. And this goes hand in hand in terms of the slices that SI has really emphasized trying to smooth the difference between the slices. And so that when you go from one animation to the other, then you slice again and you break off mid animation to go somewhere else, that the player doesn't glide at all, that there's no glitch in the matrix that you actually can see. So there's just going to be a fluid, nice and buttery, smooth transition from one step here, next step here, no gliding, no glitch. They've smoothed the edges on the transitions as well, because there's going to be a lot more of them happening between the slices. New buzzword, slices. And that takes us almost directly into the next section, which is defensive awareness. Now, Football Manager's improvements to the match engine were necessary in this area. I documented time and time again my biggest issue with Football Manager 20's match engine was when they rewrote the marking system, they emphasized positional stability and individual marking prowess over anything else. So if you had a right back who was defending a counterattack, they would run to the right back position and then try and run back in order to cover the space. It was the only glaring error. And this change to the decision making not only makes it easier for those defenders to do the right thing, they have actually encouraged defensive spatial awareness. So they have increased the ability of defenders to read space and not just the players. Typically, the defenders in every other match engine up to this point are reading the player and the ball. They're chasing the ball and reading the player. In this blog post here, and elaborated on by SI, the defenders are going to have this spatial awareness. They're not going to chase the ball. They're not going to chase the player. They're going to try and anticipate. They're going to work as a unit. They're going to move around and basically have what you would consider defensive awareness, the sort of thing that takes a center back from being okay and makes them great. A key little thing they threw in at the end of this, right? How many times did you give up a goal where the striker was in front of your back line, the keeper hit the ball to them, your center back came up late to contest the ball on the ground, the forward goes right by them and scores completely uncontested 1v1? This happened far too often in the FM20 match engine. It was a new thing with the way the marking engine had been completely rewritten. This is now not going to happen. Defenders are more adaptive facing long balls and will contest aerial battles more frequently to try and avoid being left exposed to being outnumbered or a flick on. So you will see more of those one-on-one contests. The last part of defensive awareness that is awesome is when you're moving around and you are looking to anticipate where the ball is going to go, you will start to try and fill pass lanes. We're going to see a lot more interceptions because players are going to be looking to intercept the ball. They're not just going to be reacting to where the ball goes. That makes those defensive midfielders with anticipation and quickness a heck of a lot more valuable. Hello, N'Golo Kante. And this is what is addressed in our third section, central play. They talk about the chaotic nature of play in the center. There are going to be more interceptions with midfielders reading passing lanes, putting pressure, and then anticipating where the pass is going to go so that they can intercept it. Tackling, decision-making, anticipation, and composure are going to become much more important in Football Manager 21 than they were in Football Manager 20 because of the faster decision-making, that sort of defensive awareness, and now the emphasis on a more chaotic play through the midfield. What this actually hints on and is an emphasis in the game in the match engine, as well as the instructions focus play down the middle and focus play down the flanks, have been reworked, and so players are going to be looking to make more progressive passes in that direction instead of just making those people more attacking. But they are also instructions that are not going to be functional for an entire 90 minutes, which is interesting. And so focusing play down the right wing example for 90 minutes is just going to wear your homeboy out. But it's been reworked so that the ball is actually going there and is actually going through the middle and playing progressive passes through the middle. It's not just back to your goalkeeper until he turns it over. Now to the next section, and this is my personal favorite thanks to these massive mitts. Goalkeeper Intelligence. They always make a bunch of minor tweaks, right? But the big change that you will notice, I will notice, we will all notice, that random dude who's watching my videos in Mauritania, he will notice this. Keepers go to ground more. Like, well, more than nothing. When there's a 1v1, a keeper's going to go to ground. Not all the time. The keeper is actually going to go down to the ground. Because of this quick decision making, there are animations for the goalkeepers to get down and try and anticipate where these shots are going to go. And as you can guess, this is going to create a much more authentic feeling experience when you are isolated and angled or singular 1v1 situations. Don't worry, we're getting to that. Goalkeepers are also going to be more aggressive. They have bumped up essentially the right to claim the ball for the goalkeepers, so that means that long throws are going to be much less relevant, because what really diffuses a long throw more than a goalkeeper that's confident coming off with their line? And let's be honest, there is always time to come get those long throws that we keep playing in the game to give us some extra goal scoring opportunities. So more aggressive goalkeepers off their line. They are benefiting from the improved decision making in the game, and they now have animations where they will go to ground. And with them going to ground, you have to rework finishing a little bit. You can't just blast it or touch it into one of the side nettings. So often in real life, you see people go between the legs or chip it up over the keeper. Guess what? That's now in play in our final section. Attacking in the final third. The first change they've made actually has nothing to do with what we were just talking about. It is improving the movement of these players. And much more often, someone like an attacking midfielder who used to just kind of stand up there until the ball would get to them, these players are going to drop in and look to receive the ball a lot more. So in a 4-4-2, you are going to have a striker that is actively going to be looking to drop in and receive the ball. A deep lying forward, complete forward, false nine, anybody like that, going to be dropping in to look to receive the ball aggressively. I mean, they're going to be more fluid and less stagnant. So often you see yourselves with the ball and you have your front 4 or 5 players maybe even that are just stagnant up at the top. That's not necessarily going to happen anymore. Another small side benefit to this is that when these players are moving, they're going to be reacting to your instructions. If you want to focus down a flank, they're going to be looking to exploit the space on the opposite flank. So if you want a lot of your business to happen on one flank and the ball gets switched over maybe across to the back post for it to be tapped in, that movement is going to actively look to exploit the space opposite of where the ball is being focused. That could be really useful tactically. And to capitalize on this improved movement, and obviously the other things we've talked about, decision making being the real building block here, passers are going to look to just play more through balls. In general, the lack of through balls, especially ground through balls in Football Manager 20, was noted and changed, again making attacking midfielders much more high-powered. And then we finally get to where goalkeepers are going to ground. And this is, to me, just the single greatest improvement, even better than the decision making that they've made, is that these players now have spatial awareness. This is something that football managers never had before, and that is the ability of the player to take complete stock depending on their attributes of the space and the time they have available to directly affect the decisions that they are making. The players in Football Manager 21 will have this spatial awareness. They will be able to take stock of the angle. They will be able to take stock of a lot of things instead of just being a point and shoot mechanism, which has essentially been what Football Manager has had for so long. What does this mean that they will be able to take stock? Well, there's a wide variety of finishes now available, including the classic dink over the top of a keeper on the ground, the pop between the legs, the pop under the arm, or the traditional, zoink it into the top corner, whether they're there or not sort of mentality. And bad players will still hit the ball directly into the goalkeeper because they are bad. But this spatial awareness is certainly going to lead to more passes. They say as much here. You'll also see a higher percentage of players passing and not shooting from tight angles, depending on your tactical setup and the player concerned. Some people will just try and score anyways. So when you slide into my DMs and you're like, you lied, I didn't. See, you're just playing in Brazil where everybody wants to score the goals for themselves. And if you're Brazilian, you know what I'm talking about. And then we get to perhaps some very annoying features. Players are going to go to ground more. They are going to Luis Suarez it up, pretend they've been shot from the 8th row, and drop on the ground. And they will appeal for penalties, which is dangerous because VAR is now like actual VAR. And this is just loathsome. FM looked at the real world and essentially decided that referees kind of suck, which good for them. They've reduced the amount of correct decisions made by Football Manager in VAR. It was almost always right in Football Manager 20, but now it's not going to be almost always right. It's going to be more subjective, which means the referees will have different calls in the exact same scenario depending on who the ref is. But fortunately, this is coupled with one last change that might have saved me in a previous streamer showdown. Players are now much more aware of when they are obviously offside because of all these spatial awareness improvements and decision-making improvements. So they will be much more prone to avoiding those flagrantly offside flick-on headers and set pieces and those sorts of things that might prompt annoying and obvious VAR reviews that can now be avoided. The key thing to take away about the match engine in Football Manager 21 is that it is going to feel much faster and more fluid than any match engine you played before. The finishing in the 1v1s and the passing out of tight angled shots were noted. They spent over a month working on just the finishing stuff alone. I mean, that's insane. You think about the man hours that go into making this game, and thank you so much to them for that. I am very excited to take a crack at playing it myself in what I believe will be one of the next 2 days after this video comes out. So enjoy this video. Be titillated, and looking forward to playing some Football Manager 21. The next stream is Tuesday. Should be the day after this video comes out. You can hang out if you want. The link is down in the description. Stay foxy.